Today, I'm going to cover how you can get ahead of 97% of digital marketing data analysts in life, which leads to a greater income, greater freedom, greater performance, and greater success within your organization. Hi, my name is Will, and I've been working for 8 years in the digital marketing industry online. The first 5 years as a digital marketing for a top performance agency in my state, and then I moved on for the next 3 years to be working as a digital marketing data analyst, which is a subset of the data analyst role where it's not as programming heavy and you're more focused on strategy, data analytics, and capturing custom tracking so that you can visualize and report on key metrics and trends and strategy for leaders of different companies. Now, having seen the gamut and seen a lot of different clients and organizations in various industries, as well as various coworkers come and go, I think I have a decent level of experience to let you know what I see works for the top performing people and what doesn't work for people who kind of stay average. So with that being said, I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I do have a little bit more knowledge than someone who has zero experience. So I thought I could share these findings. So let's not delay. Let's just get straight to it with three key things that I found. And then I may sprinkle in a couple bonus tips if you want to go the extra mile. So the first key thing that you have to do is you have to make sure that you have a ability to do a lot of self-learning and self-education and ability to just absorb and learn. Now you will get the experience to learn from other people on your team, on in your business, your company, and that helps. But one way to supplement that is to have some self-reliance and independence to teach yourself new concepts, because at the end of the day, while you will learn a lot quicker at an agency, and I highly recommend working at an agency if you want to learn and just get a lot of real world hands-on experience with a lot of clients, a lot of different tools, and then also, have someone like your manager or coworker kind of reviewing your work, teaching you stuff along the way. That being said, they're busy. They have their own full-time job, and so they may still be able to dedicate some time to helping you, and that is huge, by the way. Before I joined an agency, just learning it all on my own was like way too difficult. So, the perfect solution is having some agency experience in your full-time job, and then on the side, on your own, do a decent amount of self-learning. It doesn't have to be crazy, but if you can dedicate like 1 to 2 hours every other day at a minimum to learning some of these tools and skill sets, that can really snowball into getting much better than the average person. There's various tools like Google Tag Manager, OneTrust, the list goes on, BigQuery, Google Cloud, Looker Studio, Tableau, where I had to commit my own time to doing some self-learning and really dedicating myself to knowing this tool. Not just like putting the wool over my eyes and saying, oh, I kind of know this tool, it's fine, I'm not being paid to do this after work, I'm not going to spend extra time on my own to learn this tool. That's really the separator. Like I found some other coworkers are usually not willing to like spend any time on their own if they're not paid to learn and level up. And I think that's what really separates the high achievers from the average. It's like they're trying to skate by and do a reasonable amount of work or sometimes a minimal amount of work for the most earnings for the short term. But for me, I'm looking at the long term, and I value leveling up these skills and leveling up everything that could be of value as my role goes, as number one. And so even if I'm not paid to do it myself and I'm spending my own time to better learn these tools that are used on the job, guess what? In the long run, people are going to come to me, people are going to respect me and be more confident in my ability. And so for some of these things, especially like Tableau and Google Tag Manager, I spent a decent chunk of my own time learning these tools, prepping, and doing professional development and getting certified. I mean, those certification exams are not easy. I mean, it's almost like a mini SAT. and the questions are hard. So if you can do that and self-learn, you're going to be way ahead of most people. So number two, the second thing I think could be very valuable for you to really develop your skills and get ahead of most people is really identify the key tools or skill sets that you need to level up and really attack those things. There's always going to be new emerging skill sets too. So it's not like you finish the list and you're set for life. I mean, this is no longer the industrial era where you have this skill set that will last you for 40 years at a factory. Especially if you're doing stuff on the internet, which I am. There's constantly new tools and new technologies coming out. Lately, it's artificial intelligence, but before that, there's new and emerging web analytics tools. Hotjar and Crazy Egg also dominated the user experience tool segment, but now that market's changing too with new tools like Full Story coming out. And there's constantly new changes with AI, with web analytics, with Google Tag Manager and other tag management tools. And then there's new privacy laws and healthcare laws that are causing certain industries to get hit more, which means certain tools are no longer viable options because they aren't compliant, which means you have to learn new tools there too. And so you have to be able to spot these tools, stay ahead of the trend, listen and stay in tune with the news and these developments, and then spend some time. Sometimes you are able to spend some time during work where you are billed, and you can do it during work hours because your team wants you to do that and wants you to stay ahead of the trend. So use that, leverage that. It's even more preposterous to me sometimes when I see people not even willing to spend time at work where they're paid to, and their teammates and manager wants them to spend time to develop these skills and stay on top of these trends. So that's crazy to me, but you got to do some of this outside of work too, and it's not that time consuming. I mean, 1 hour a week just like scouring the digital marketing news landscape, or trying a new demo of a tool, playing around with it, going through some demo tutorials. It's not going to kill you to do something like this. These are reasonable amounts of times I'm posing. Now, of course, if you want to do extra like I do, you can ramp it up more than 1 hour a week. But just think about that. It can really level up your game field, your game plan and your skill sets. And I would expand that to soft skills too. So, for example, my soft skills weaknesses, I already identified some hard skills examples, but for soft skills, I realized I was kind of weak at storytelling, client presentations, speaking with confidence and crispness. And so this YouTube stuff is one way for me to practice that skill set and improve that skill set. So you really got to identify your strengths and weaknesses because all these things play a role in developing you into that key player on your team. Okay, so that leaves number 3, the last one, and then I may throw in a couple bonus tips, so stick around. Before I do, please leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment with your request for another video topic in the future, and I'll be sure to see if I can do that video. Anyhow, the third thing that you should really try and do is really try and master the areas of deliverables that your team wants the most. You will find patterns in your work where certain deliverables out of all the different things that you can do are the things that keep coming up and are like the big things that you need to deliver. And so you really have to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, can I do this well? Are my managers, when they review this work, happy with my work? How can I do it better? And if it's not up to par, you really got to dedicate time to improve that. What I see sometimes is people are just kind of lax with it, and they can't really deliver something that well, and sure enough that probably impacts their performance over time, and soon they just can't get the work done. So that can sometimes lead to parting with the company, or sometimes that just leads to situations where you aren't seen as anything remarkable at your company. And so you got to be honest with yourself and be more vigilant. I think another way of saying this is only the paranoid survive. Or I think people are too relaxed. They think, oh, I can just, once I get the job offer and I accept, I'm good. Well, you may be, or you may start to slowly lose the tide once they realize you don't have the skills to deliver, or you had them at one point, but now we have new tools, new things that you need to learn, and you're slipping. So I think the smart ones are always adapting, always learning new tools, and they're always vigilant. They're not too relaxed and trying to cruise, because kind of like the tortoise and the hare, if you're just too relaxed, like, you're going to be in trouble when, like, you realize you can't get the work done. So for example, let me get more specific. With my current work, um, there's a lot of deliverables I could deliver. Sometimes it's a SEO audit, sometimes it's a SEO slash content audit, or a technical SEO audit. It could be a dashboard deliverable where I deliver a dashboard with all their metrics. Sometimes I'm collecting custom tracking in Google Tag Manager that they requested, setting it up, testing it, running it, and so forth. Sometimes I'm even installing a compliance banner on their site to work with all their analytics tools. So there's a wide variance of different deliverables that I could be delivering, but when it comes down to it, like, a couple stand out as the most common and key ones. That might be the compliance banner and the dashboard. It just depends on the season, but those are very common ones. And then sometimes it's like I'm part of a big presentation deck for like a end of quarter or end of year type of presentation. So those are some of the key things I keep coming across that are seen as big deals inside and outside the organization to our clients. So what do? I really double down on it and really make sure I know the ins and outs and have all the technical experience to get this done, to make sure it looks really nice, to make sure I know how to build it completely and deliver it in a punchy, successful way. If I get the sense in my feedback that I'm doing certain things wrong, I really look it over, I scrutinize it, I take it to heart, not like to the point where like I'm devastated, but to the point where I take it seriously enough to get better at it and I improve. Contrast that to some people where, they may take the feedback, they may not, or they may have certain areas where they just technically don't know how to solve it and they don't address those, or they don't even know how to use the entire tool and they take way too long to learn the tool. Those are maybe seemingly obvious, but common reasons why people aren't really progressing or succeeding. Last but not least, I want to give you 2 bonus tips that are kind of overarching, holistic, and goes beyond technical and analytical things that you can work on, because at any job, at any company, these are the things that really make the difference. One is, can you deliver and make people happy with the work you do? Sometimes it's other clients if you work at an agency like me, or other times it is your own managers, your own team, and so forth. And that's at the bottom line what it is. Don't think, hey, I got the job offer, I'm good. Have a 3-month plan, a 6-month plan, a 9-month plan, because on a recurring basis, your manager, your boss, they have success metrics for you, and sometimes they're more qualitative. Some companies, they just want you to deliver things and in a reasonable time frame and make sure the client is happy. That's kind of more of a qualitative metric. But for certain other companies, let's say acquisition.com, that's a company where I know they have very quantitative metrics for anyone working there sometimes. So it's like, hey, if you want to work as a podcast producer, our goal is to hit twice the amount of downloads by next year. So you're measured by something at all these companies, and it's typically something that can be quantified. So you got to make sure you're working towards that. And if you're trending to not hit those numbers, that's an issue. You double down and figure out why you're not hitting those numbers. Don't just be lackadaisical and assume that once you get the job, you're all good to go. No, you're judged based off your performance in all situations. And then the second thing is, be empathetic, be holistic in your understanding. So what I mean by this is, no one really cares, other than your parents and maybe your close friends, no one really cares what you want. They care what you can provide them. So unfortunately, most people aren't empathetic enough to really even understand this and deliver this. They are, most people are selfish, and so they just kind of in the job interview during the job do what they want. I want this salary. I want this. I want that. And then maybe they'll do a little bit like, oh, I have this to offer and that. But they're not fully empathetic where they lead with, this is what I can do for you. This is what you want. This matches. Here's the proof to that. And just showing that certainty, that evidence, and doing what they care about. And if you can do this with all the people you interact with, you're just going to get a lot farther. As the Jim Rohn quote goes, to get what you want in life, you need to help other people. I'm paraphrasing. I think he said it more eloquently. It was more like, you can get anything you want in life as long as you help others get what they want first. So there is some truth to that. It is a system of supply and demand. And so if you can do all that, I think you can get ahead of 97% of other people. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe. Enjoy my free email newsletter. The link is below, where I'll give even more exclusive free tips on how you can get a similar job to me, even if you have no experience or degree in this field. Thanks for watching.